My name is Sen Elias. I'm the proprietor of Crescent City Conjure, and I hope that you'll like this video. Please subscribe, click like, share, tell your mama, tell your grandma about this video, and let them all know what's going on. Let's talk about conjure work, how it works, and why it works. We're going to be talking about a lot of ideas and concepts. So it first requires you to challenge your understanding of the physical world around you. First, look at our five senses: hearing, sight, taste, touch, and sound. Those are like our import cords in a computer, right? On the back of your computer with the cords. This is how we receive information to our brain, our five senses. This is how we interact with what we call reality, the physical world around us. A lot of what we talk about in the human experience is based on what we understand based on our five senses. The practice of hoodoo, work and conjure, or magic, or metaphysical practices, any of those words you want to apply to it, the practice is to first believe that there's more than our computer in existence, our ability to understand what we call the physical world, or our five senses, which act as an input. It challenges the idea that is the totality of reality. One idea that I like to play within this is in the animal kingdom, dogs or insects, they have a larger spectrum of experiences than we do. They can see further, they can hear more, they can see in different spectrums of light that we cannot. This is just an idea of how many things may be going on around us that we are not privy to. So let's first say that the reality that we experience is not reality. It's our perception, it's our experience, it's our egoic, centralized understanding of the world around us. The world is much bigger than that. The next concept can be best illustrated through the Kabbalistic tree of life. The Kabbalistic tree of life is from Jewish mysticism, but it is not the only map that we can look at, but it's a relatively easy one to understand based on the simplified graph of the Kabbalistic tree of life for moving down the tree of life. The Kabbalistic tree of life says that we live in a mirrored universe, as above, so below, as within, so without. These are Hermetic principles. And they say that, oh, you're made of the same stuff as stars. It's literally true. The same things that created the stars are what is the same exact material that makes us. And so in that way, we live in a mirrored universe. Everything from the very beginning, the Big Bang, has dropped down into all of these wonderful variety of things, but not just materialistically. Let's return to the first concept, that the material world is not reality. It is only our perception of reality, our centralized egoic understanding of the physical world. So if we're going to relate the Big Bang and all these material things, all these physical actions back to a spiritual action as well, then we're talking about God expressing itself. God manifesting into a seeable, knowable source or material, and then dropping down to create all these wonderful things in creation. Us, a fly, Mars, Venus, all these planets, all these galaxies. So if all things are intrinsically connected, because they are, we can agree on this physically through the Big Bang, but as spiritualists, we agree on this spiritually because all things are a mirror of one another. The physical is a mirror of the spiritual is a mirror of the physical. If that's true, then we should be able to pull a small string from our perspective, from our world, that will affect something in another place, in another world, in another emanation of existence. This is what we call conjure. This is the basis of the idea that all things are intrinsically connected. We see this concept in string theory. If you cut it, take it to two parts of the world, and you do one thing to one side of it, it mirrors on the other side because there's something unknowable that connects the two. It's still the same thing, just separated by time and space. So it begs the question, is time and space an illusion? And so we go back to what is hoodoo, work and conjure, or what is conjure? That's hoodoo is different. What is conjure and what is magic? It says that if I am knowledgeable of a point of study called correspondence. So in magic first, you're going to be made responsible for understanding correspondences. This is what is black tourmaline used for. It's a correspondence, right? Oh, black tourmaline is for protection. Black tourmaline don't know it's for protection. Protection ain't written on black tourmaline. It's correspondence. It's saying that this energy is connected and familiar with the same energy of protection. Saint Michael is a spirit that's associated with protection. Red brick dust is associated with protection. Hematite is associated with protection. Bay leaf is associated with protection. This is saying that if you pull this small string over here, it'll have an effect over here. Both of these things are related to the same thing. All right, so you start off with a list of correspondences, and this list of correspondences goes on for your entire career of your occult metaphysical study and practice. It's to know herbs, bones, stones, living material, ways of thinking, ways of being, times of the day. How can I best manipulate this thing out here based on the things that I have access to here? And all things, and I do mean absolutely everything, is associated with something else. For those who are familiar with astrology, it's a similar concept that as the planets move around, it affects our experience here on Earth, as above, so below. In the practice of manifestation or conjure, what we're trying to understand is how everything is connected and how we can work with the smallest things to make the biggest changes. We talked about our relationship to the external world and how correspondences can create major changes in the long run. But because we are an ingredient in the gumbo, we are an ingredient in all of this, and each person is the most important ingredient in any spell work or magic that they do, because we are God experiencing itself. Our consciousness is the divine experiencing the physical world around it, getting to know itself. God getting to know itself is each and every one of us from a different perspective. You know, someone is in Alaska living in an igloo, somebody is in California surfing on the waves, and God is experiencing all of these wonderful and various things. God created it and then is experiencing it. Extremely intelligent entity. Which means that if we're going to be practicing magic or manifestation or conjure, we have to be just as aware of our internal landscape as our external one. While we are studying these correspondences to understand how God is experiencing itself in other things, we have to understand how God is experiencing itself within us, which means meditation, discipline, being in control of our conduit. We are conduits. We need to be aware of our divine connection so that we can get the most out of our connection with the divine. In our world, we are bombarded by a lot of different things, advertisements, abilities, so on and so forth. To get to the communication that we're having with our everlasting and divine spirit, we must quiet those things down so we can hear that internal voice, which happens through meditation, which happens through restrictions, meaning I'm not going to participate in this, this, and this, as to not have those things rattling around in my brain or my emotional self, and I can experience my divine self more clearly. Once we are in tune with the radio station within ourselves that is in tune with the divine, we're able to extend that connection from the internal to the external. Thus, the correspondences that we have with everything in the external world light up. When we're in touch with the flame in the center of our chest, we're able to then get in touch with the flame of the divine that exists in absolutely everything. It spreads like a spider's web and extends further and further out. And with one strong pull, we can manipulate multiple things simultaneously. And that, my friends, is conjure.